Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to get the Pac-Man cabinet sanded down and painted. When I had sanded this down, I sanded through a bunch of that blue paint that they had over the old Pac-Man artwork. Well, it was kind of rough and it was sanded down to the wood in some spots, the yellow, the blue. And I missed some stuff. There's some divots in this side art where the side art's going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some of that dolphin glaze that I use, and we're going to fill in spots like this. I didn't see it before, so I want to get some of this stuff mixed up, and I'm going to put it on there before I start sanding the cabinet, because the primer on the cabinet is currently a little rough because it was sprayed right out of the spray gun, so it's a little on the rough side. So it's a good time to put this on, because once I start sanding, I'm going to end up with dust inside those groove areas that I need to fill in, and it's going to make it not want to stick as well. It's going to stick a little better now before it's sanded. I'm looking for a Bondo spreader here, a smaller one. Need to clean out my cabinet. Here's some, maybe I'll use this other stuff so I don't have to open up another one. This is just fantastic glaze by U-Pull. Same company, same, almost the same stuff. Let me find a spreader and stuff and I'll be right back. Okay, I have some on my board here. This is the fantastic glaze, a little different than that dolphin glaze, but to me, they both seem to work about the same. Stick a little hardener in there. Once we get all these scratches filled in that I see, we can go ahead and sand it down with a quick 180 grit. And then we're gonna go over it with a 320 real quick and get it ready for paint. Then I gotta move some stuff out of the spray booth and clean it up a little bit, and we're gonna get this painted. We're gonna use automotive blue paint that has metallic in it, but we're not going to put a clear over top of it. So once it dries, it's gonna be a matte finish and you won't really notice it. Plus it doesn't matter because the artwork is going to be covered up, because this cabinet is getting vinyl side art rather than the painted on stencils. So basically, I'm just going to go around here and find any spots that I don't like and fill them in. Just going to pull it real tight so that I don't have a lot of sanding to do. Now, we're not making this perfect, but we want it to be nice. So if I don't fill this stuff in, it's going to show through the vinyl and it's just not going to look real good. And usually when you put filler on a cabinet, you want to put primer back down, but I don't want to waste more money on filler primer, so what I'm going to do is put down an epoxy primer, one coat. We're going to use it as a sealer. What it's going to do is it's going to seal up this Bondo so that the paint doesn't absorb into it. So, all right, I'm gonna go around and find all these nicks that I missed and get them filled in. Okay, it's dry. More on this side than on the other side. This side was a lot worse. So I'm gonna take my DA sander with 180 grit. I'll show you how I'm gonna sand it. I'm not gonna video the whole sanding because it'll get boring. It's pretty much the same thing I always do, but I'm gonna go over the whole entire cabinet with 180. Then I'm gonna go over it with 320 real quick. vacuum's not turning on. There we go. Okay, so basically I'm just going to sand it all down like that. As you can see, I did not use a lot of primer on this cabinet because I'm trying to save on material and money. This is a budget build and we just need it to be smooth for the artwork to be applied over top. We're not going to see any of this stuff, so we're just getting it smooth, and we're going to put an epoxy primer over top of it, which is going to seal in all the colors and everything, so it'll all be gray again, and then we're going to go over it with the blue paint. So I'm going to spend some time here, get both sides sanded down with 180 front, inside, and then I'm going to go over it with 320. Then I'll come back and show you what it looks like, and then I got to get the spray booth cleaned out, and then we're going to put a coat of epoxy primer on it, and then probably 3 coats of color. So I will be back in a little bit. Okay, it's all been sanded down with 180 and 320. This might look really bad, and you might think it's going to look like that when it's painted, but it's not. It's actually very smooth. It should actually turn out pretty nice. I sanded the back door as well. We're going to shoot everything in one shot. So basically what we're going to do, I got to clean out the spray booth. We are going to put the blue on the sides, the front, and the back. Okay, this might seem backwards to you, but we're going to do all the blue on the cabinet first. Then we're going to come back, tape off the blue, and paint the black. Now the reason why I'm doing it that way is it's easier for me to tape off the big flat blue areas than it is to try to tape off inside of here. If I try to tape off inside of here, no matter how hard I try to seal this off after I paint it black, you know blue is going to want to come into it. I'm not as concerned if a little bit of black gets on the blue because we're using a vinyl decal. So that is less concerning to me. I want the black to be perfect because that's going to be visible. The sides and front are not going to be visible because they are going to get vinyl on them. So, all right, I'm going to get the spray booth cleaned out, get all those pole position parts out of there, get this set up in there, and we're going to get this thing painted. I'll have to put on the blue color, wait about an hour before I can put tape on the cabinet to cover up the blue so that we can paint the black. Now, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, we're going to wipe this down. Normally I use a wax and grease remover called Prep All, and I buy it from Amazon in a gallon containers, but I'm going to show you guys a cheaper way. We're going to use a window cleaner to wipe this down rather than the Prep All because it's just cheaper. It's aerosol cans, Safeway aerosol cans. You get 4 cans at Home Depot for 10 bucks. It's just another way that you guys can save a little money by wiping down your cabinets to degrease them. I don't recommend any other type of product other than the window cleaner or the Prep All. Simple Green with automotive paint won't work. You don't want to put that on the cabinet. It's going to soak into your primer and it's going to cause you problems when you go to paint. So, all right, I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to get the booth cleaned out, get this in there, and I'll be back. Okay, spray booth's cleaned out. Cabinet is in the spray booth. We're going to wipe it down now, and this is what I was talking about. We're going to use this Sprayway glass cleaner. It's ammonia free. This stuff, it works great for cleaning off surfaces you're going to paint. It's obviously a cheaper way to buy this versus buying a gallon of the Prep All from Amazon. Let me grab that can so you can see what it looks like. This is the Prep All I use on cars usually, but if you don't have this, Sprayway is the next best thing. Now, the good thing about this is if you buy it and you're only painting, let's say, 1 or 2 arcade cabinets, okay, you can still use this to clean the glass, your bezel, your marquee, you know, wipe down your control panel, so you can still use this stuff. The Prep All is basically just for painting, so you're not really going to be wiping anything down with that. At least this stuff, you can, you know, use it for other things. So let's go out there and spray it down and wipe it off. real quick, I'm using a 4-ply lint-free towels from Torx. I use these because I have these dispensers that dispense them out, keeps them clean in there. Now, you don't have to buy these, okay? And I don't think those blue shop towels from Home Depot or Lowe's are gonna work like these do. These have no lint on them. You can also use microfiber towels. Now, Walmart started selling, and I believe you can order them on Amazon too, they sell a roll of microfiber towels. And I forget they're $12 or $15, but there's quite a bit on there. They're a thinner microfiber towel, not as thick as this, but you can use those to wipe your cabinet down before paint because they are lint free as well. So that's another good option. And also those can be used for other uses too, you know, scrubbing your control panels and stuff like that. So it's pretty good investment to buy a roll of those microfiber towels. And a 4-pack of these from Home Depot, I believe, are $10. So that's a good bargain in my opinion. It's $2.50 a can. Really can't go wrong there. So I'm not going to show you me wiping down the whole entire cabinet. Figure I'll just do one side here, just so you can see what I'm doing. It's really pretty self-explanatory. Just spray your cabinet down, wipe it off. If you're really worried about it, use more than one towel. Go over it, wipe the cabinet twice if you're worried about it. Try to also wipe one direction all the way down. You can see it works. You can see the gray primer dust coming off onto this towel. So basically I'm going to do this around all the sides of the cabinet, and then we're going to be ready to put on some sealer. Okay, I'm going to get some epoxy primer mixed up. Obviously, most people are not going to have epoxy primer at their house. If you don't, then I would recommend that cabinet getting primered again a second time and then sanding it down so you don't have a bunch of areas that broke through. But we're going to use this epoxy primer. It's a 2-to-1 mix. We're just going to mix up a little bit of it. I'm going to put a nice coat on the whole cabinet. And then we'll let that dry for about 15 minutes, and then we are going to put on the blue. Once the blue's on, we'll let that set for a good hour before we can take it off. So I'm going to get this stirred up and mixed up too much. So it is what it is. I hate wasting product if I don't have to, but sometimes you mess up. I went a little too high on my first pour. So all right, I'm going to get this stirred up really well. We're going to go out there and put a coat of this on. Okay, I wasn't gonna put epoxy primer on the back, but since I overmixed it, why not use it rather than throwing it away? So I put it on the back. So now I'm gonna let that set for about 15 minutes while I get the spray gun cleaned out, and I'm gonna get the paint out so we can start stirring that up and get that ready. So I will be back in about 15 minutes. Well, it'll be a second for you guys. All right, I'm gonna get this blue paint mixed up. This is kind of a crappy paint, not real expensive. Doesn't cover the greatest. I'll probably under reduce it. It's normally a 1-to-1 reduction, but I'll probably do less than that so it covers better. But that's the color blue we're using. Like I said, it's getting covered up by artwork, so it's not a big deal. So I'm gonna get this mixed up, and we're gonna go out there and get the first coat on. It's probably gonna take 3 coats to cover it. Okay, first coat's done. By me under reducing it, it's covering a lot better. I'm only gonna put 2 coats on. No point in wasting any more material. But the good thing is like when you have extra materials like this and you're gonna put vinyl over it and the back doesn't really matter, it's a good way to get rid of some materials. What was I gonna say? Oh, we're not putting a clear coat over it because you can stick vinyl right to the base coat. This is a urethane product, so it will stick to it just fine. There's no point in wasting a clear coat on the sides, front, and the back when it's just going to get covered up. So using this for a smooth surface for the vinyl to stick on is more than acceptable. You won't have any issues with it, so why not use it? And as I'm pouring this, a couple little clumps came out into the cup, but that's why I use this system where it has the filter built into the lid, which will keep those clumps from coming through the spray gun. So we're going to let that set now for 10 minutes, fill this up, and we're going to just put one more coat on. Then it's going to set for a good hour, maybe a little longer, and then we'll come back, tape it off, and paint it black. Once the black is settled for about 20 minutes, we'll get it untaped and we'll be able to see what it looks like. And then it's going to sit. Another thing you want to worry or do is if you're using an automotive paint, or any paint for that matter really, you don't want to use latex paint because artwork will not stick to latex paint. You have to use some sort of like an acrylic enamel or like an acrylic based paint. Trying to think what other ones there are. Home Depot and Lowe's do sell some that you can use. But let your paint dry. Let it dry for several days before you put your artwork on. Don't paint it and think the next day you're going to stick artwork to it. What could happen, especially with automotive paint, the paint has to dry. As the automotive paint dries, it takes the chemicals come to the surface and work their way out of the paint. If you stick vinyl over top, especially laminated vinyl, let's say you're putting a side art on here and you put a clear laminate over it to really protect it, that solvent's going to come out and it's going to hit that vinyl. If it doesn't have laminate, the vinyl will usually breathe and it'll come through the vinyl. If it has a clear laminate on top, it's not going to come out. What's going to end up happening is you're going to start blistering your artwork up. You're going to get bubbles of air under your artwork and it's going to be real hard to fix. So just let the stuff dry. If you're doing it at home and it's a nice day out after you're done painting it, and like the next day, take it outside, let it sit in the sun. It's the best thing you can do for this stuff. Just let it dry. Even though I gave that sealer 15 minutes to dry before we started putting on this blue, doesn't mean that all the solvents are out of that yet. You know, those still could come through the paint. So, you know what I mean? Solvents could be coming all the way from your primer if you're trying to rush it. As you notice, I paint these cabinets, I take a day or two between primering and stuff. Like the Paperboy, I primered, what was it, 2 nights ago, I think it was. So tomorrow will be the 3rd day. And I baked it. So I ran it at 120 degrees, which also helps cure the paint, or the primer, the paint, everything. So that's why I'm saying if you put it in the sun, that's going to help cure it, because the sun gets really hot on surfaces. So all right, I'm gonna let this set for another 5 minutes, and then we're gonna put the last coat on, and then I'm gonna go probably eat dinner, come back, tape it off, and we'll get the black on. done cleaned out and everything, eat dinner. At that point, come back out here. We'll tape it off the sides, the front, and top, and all that stuff, and we'll get the black painted. And then we will be done with the paint on this. This paint can be reused, so I put it back in here. Now, you gotta keep in mind that it's reduced. So if you go to use more out of here, use less reducer because you've now made it a little bit thinner. But anyways, yeah, once the paint dries, probably next week, I'll put the artwork on it. And I think it's out of here. I don't really think I'm doing anything else to it. Just getting the artwork on it. I ordered a piece of light smoke plexiglass for the screen bezel. And we're going to put the artwork on the outside of the screen bezel. So, other than that, I think that's about it. So I will be back. For you guys, it'll only be a minute. For me, it's going to be a little while. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Real quick, before I'm letting the paint dry for a little bit with the fans on, and I'm going to turn it off while it sits for a little while. If anybody of you guys are interested in seeing car restoration and paint jobs on cars and stuff, I have a second YouTube channel called Troy's Restoration 2.0. So if anybody is interested in seeing how I paint cars, do the body work, assemble the cars, all that stuff, there's going to be tons and tons of videos coming on that in the future. I do have quite a few videos on there already. So if anybody's interested in watching that, that'd be really awesome. Once again, it's Troy's Restoration 2.0. So it's my regular YouTube channel with a 2.0 at the end. All right, I'll be back in a little while. All right, I'm back. It's actually been several hours, which is good for that. I had to go pick up a tire balancing machine. So it's probably been 4 hours since I put that blue on there now. So this video is not going to come out till after 10 o'clock tonight. But that's okay. I'm just wiping my hands down with some paint reducer. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because I just picked up that tire machine and my hands are a little dirty. I want to make sure I don't have any grease on my hands when I touch that cabinet, because if you have grease on your hands, then you're going to get fish eyes and your paint's not going to want to stick. So using lacquer thinner or reducer really cleans off your hands. So all right, I'm going to go out there and we're going to start taping it off. I'm going to show you how I'm going to tape it off. I'm going to do it pretty easily, as quickly as possible. Okay, so basically I'm going to take this 3/4 inch tape, which is the smaller of the two tapes that I have, and I'm just going to go around the edge here. And then I'm going to cover it with paper and then tape it a second time. Tape the paper to this tape. I'll show you. But I'm going to run this all around the perimeter of the cabinet. So let me get the tape on all the sides and everything, then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to put the paper on. Okay, I've got tape on both sides and the front so far. Now I'm going to take some 18-inch paper here. I need to get this on my masking machine. It kind of sucks having to tape this off like this, but you know what? If you want a nice job, you got to do what you got to do. Technically, I probably don't even need to tape it off because, like I said, I'm covering it, but just to be on the safe side, you know, if for some reason, let's say I got black over here real bad and the rest of it was blue, and you put the artwork on and then the artwork all of a sudden looked darker right here because of the black paint underneath. So it's just better to take the time and just cover it up. So basically, I'm going to go on both sides and the front and the top, and then the back door I'll take out of here. But basically, I'm going to cover all the sides, front, top, and the back so that we can spray the black. Literally, it's going to take 15 minutes to put 2 coats of black paint in there for 20 minutes of taping off. Maybe 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes. So I'll be back once I get it all taped off. Okay, it is all taped off. I did both sides, I did the front. I taped the coin door hole to the paper so that overspray doesn't get in behind the paper. And I did the top up here and the back. And then I had thrown some paper in there when I was doing the blue. I'll leave it in there for the black. The bottom of this cabinet is so nice, I didn't want to get a bunch of overspray on it. So basically now I just mix up a little bit of black paint. We just got to shoot inside of here, up these sides, right there and there, down to there. So it's not going to take very long to do that. We're going to use the Summit Hot Rod. What color here do we, satin. So this is the black Hot Rod satin. They sell it in flat, satin, and matte finish. So we're going to mix up some of this. It's a 4-to-1 mix, 4 parts paint, 1 part hardener, and then a little reducer in there. I don't have the hardener out here. Pretty much all their stuff is a 4-to-1 mix. That's pretty standard for that, which is nice. And all their products that have this label on it all use the same hardener. So from clear coat to single stage, it's all in primers too. All the same primer all the way through, which is nice because then you don't have to buy a hardener for your primer, a hardener for your single stage, a hardener for your clear. At least you can just buy one and it works for all the products. So we're gonna mix up, we're only doing 2 coats, we don't have a ton to do. We're gonna go up to the 3 on here. So we're gonna go 3 part to the 3 on the paint, then we're gonna go to that 3 with the hardener, and then we're gonna go to that 3 with the reducer. And that should be more than enough to do two good coats on this cabinet. You know what, I think I'm gonna go to the bottom of the 3. I don't wanna waste too much of this paint if I don't have to. So I'm gonna go to the bottom side of the 3. So I'm just touching the bottom of it. So then I'll just touch the bottom of the next 3 with the, you always go paint, hardener, reducer last. So right to there, we're at the bottom of that 3. And now we're gonna put in some reducer. Now you technically don't have to put reducer in this paint. I reduce it to make it thinner so that it sprays smoother. If you don't put reducer in it, it's going to be a thicker paint, which in turn is going to spray some orange peel. All right, I'm going to get my gun loaded up, get my mask on, and we are going to get 2 coats of black paint on this cabinet, and then we will be done with this for tonight. It's around, boy, it's probably almost 10 o'clock now, so this video probably won't even come out till 11 o'clock. Which I'm sure most of you won't be seeing it until tomorrow, but that's okay. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're gonna have a video on the Paperboy and the pole position. I'm gonna paint both of those tomorrow, so that this weekend I can get the Paperboy in the basement, and then I am picking up a Stargate cabinet on Friday that we are turning into a Tetris. There's nothing in the cabinet. There was no, there was a Tetris board in it, but it was a bootleg one. He has a real Tetris board, but there was no remnants of anything Stargate left in the cabinet. So we are going to turn it into a Tetris cabinet. And then while I'm working on his, I want to work on my Stargate cabinet. My Stargate cabinet is getting stencils put on it. So you'll get to see how I paint stencils on the side of the Stargate cabinet. His cabinet, I'm going to paint it black. We're just going to put artwork over it. So we're just going to paint it black so that everything's nice and black and the artwork will stick to it. So, all right, let me get the gun set up and we're going to get the first coat of black on. Okay, that first coat is drying. I was racking my brain here trying to think. I had ordered flat white paint for the sides of the pole position and the paperboy, but I don't need to use that, because if I use that and I paint the sides white, I'm gonna have to wait until the next day before I can tape it off, because it's a single stage paint that's gonna take a hardener and it's gonna have to dry overnight. So I'm gonna use a white base coat for the sides of the cabinet so that I can do like I'm doing with this one, wait an hour or two and then tape it off and then be able to put the black on. Like I said, the base coat is perfectly fine to put your artwork onto. It'll stick just fine. It is still a urethane. It just doesn't have any clear over top of it. So basically, it doesn't have any UV protection. But we don't need UV protection because we're covering it with vinyl. So it'll be just fine. That's what we're going to do tomorrow, because I want to get both of those painted. They should turn out really nice. After that, next week we're going to be putting the artwork on the Miss Pac-Man. We're going to be putting the artwork on the pole position. The paperboy is going to go in my basement, just an empty cabinet. I still got to do all the metal parts and do the control panel. I got to finish doing the body work on that. I got one more spot I want to weld on it. So that'll be that. We probably won't see another video on that for a week or two. As far as the cabinet itself, we'll have a video on the metal panels getting fixed or painted and all that stuff, and then it'll probably be a week or so before I actually get down to the basement to work on that. So tomorrow, what I have in mind is getting both of those cabinets painted, and I want to build another bracket set for a cassette deck for a Journey. The guy who helped me out getting almost all the parts I really needed for the paperboy is sending me a set of side art. He's not charging me for it. I offered to pay for it. He said, no, just give me the measurements for the tape deck brackets so I can make them for my Journey. And I said, I'll tell you what, how about I just make them for you and we'll just exchange. So he was happy with that. I'm happy with that. I don't like getting stuff for free, so if I can do something in return, I think it works out well. So I have a piece of 16 gauge sheet metal so we can make another bracket. I'm gonna have to go in the basement, take my tape deck out of the cabinet, unscrew the bracket from the cabinet so that we can duplicate that. He sent me the measurements of his tape deck so I can make sure that The measurements of his tape deck fit into my bracket because I don't know what brand tape deck he's using. I made my bracket fit the old style tape deck that originally came in there. So I just need to make sure what I do for his fits. So, all right, let's go out there, put the second coat of black on, let it dry for like 10-15 minutes, then we're gonna untape it and see what it looks like. Okay, let's give that about 15 minutes and we can untape it. If you guys ever seen these bladder systems with these this paint system, you see how it sucks that in? So basically what it does is it just takes the paint and literally just squeezes it out of that inner liner. What's good about using this inner liner is if you're doing car paint jobs, when you get up underneath the rocker panel, the bottom of the car, you could spray. A normal one of these guns with a regular cup on there, you wouldn't be able to spray because your paint would go vertical, okay? And then when it goes vertical in the cup, it's not gonna suck it up right here. This bladder keeps the paint always into the gun, so it works out well. So, all right, let me clean this up, come back in about 15 minutes. We'll pull the paper and tape off there and see what it looks like. Okay, it's still a little bit wet, but I can untape it. I turn the fans off and I just have the heat running right now. But you can see how it's nice and black in there. So let's untape it and see what it looks like. up a little bit more. I was able to keep that bottom of the cabinet perfectly clean by putting that paper down there. So, all right, well, that's going to end this video on this Pac-Man to Miss Pac-Man conversion. You won't see another video on this till next week when I get the artwork installed. We'll do a video on putting that on, and then the T-molding and stuff like that, and then that'll wrap up this project. So, all right, guys, that's going to end this video for tonight. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow.